So last year we made a video called how to make an $85 play like a $1,000 guitar, and it was very polarizing, and I think it was probably for one reason, because we literally left out of the edit one key sentence, and it's this one right here. And today we're gonna see if we can make an $85 guitar play like a $1,000 guitar.
Without spending any money. So I think this is the video a lot of those people who are unhappy with the last video might have wanted. So what we're gonna do is we have this $75, we picked it up for $75 used. It's a Squier Stratocaster, I think SE or Affinity or something like that. So a pretty budget-friendly guitar. And we are going to put about $596 worth of parts into it.
Yep. And like last time, we just did things that you can do without spending money. That was the whole point of the video. This point of this video is it better to buy a cheap guitar and customize it how you want to, or is it better to go out and spend, I think I spent $1,200 or $1,400 on this 60th anniversary Fender Stratocaster.
So we're gonna upgrade this, and then you guys are gonna be able to hear some comparisons, and we're gonna kind of shoot them out, and then you guys can kind of decide for yourself what you think is better value.
So what all do we have here as far as upgrades that we're doing?
Okay, so Romaine Pickups have supplied us with some really awesome pickups that are very similar to what are in the more expensive Stratocaster. And then Graphtec also has supplied us with string trees, nuts. These are mounting plates for our tuners, which we have locking tuners. Very nice. And then we have these really nice saddles as well. Everything already, as far as pickups go, is installed in this pickguard. So we picked up a new pickguard, dropped the pickups in there. We've got a 5-way Fender switch and also new pots and everything. Randy hooked us up with this.
Thank you very much, Randy, for doing this beautiful installation.
Very beautiful job.
Let's give you some playing samples of what these guitars sound like before we start messing with them. So here you go. Okay, here we go. Let's take the strings off. Oh! That's why I break my strings off instead of clipping them. I got tetanus now, man.
Yeah, you're a braver man than I am. I always cut my strings above the nut. Okay, so we've got the strings off of the guitar, even though it's a little bit of a struggle. Now, what we're doing to this guitar is probably gonna take us a few hours, so obviously we don't want this video to be that long, so a lot of it's gonna be sped up, but we will be starting up here with our tuners, string trees, nut, and then working our way down to the rest of it. So. And
we'll, slow it down when we have something relevant. Like this little tool here, this is a great little tool that ESP actually makes of all people. Oh. That's super easy to grab things like this. Man, this one's, there you go. There you go. And so you don't have to have a socket.
Nice.
And this probably will just fall out unless there's a screw. I don't know if some of them do, some of them don't. These do have screws, so. And obviously I'm not being too careful because I don't necessarily care if this guitar gets scratched, but if this was my guitar, I'd probably have it set up with a neck holder and all that stuff. Yep. So.
That's right.
Which I actually do have over here if we want to do it. Let me grab it. Look at that, fancy pants.
Beautiful. One thing that's nice about doing it on a guitar like this one's already a little bit relicked up.
Yeah.
So you're not worried about dinging it with your screwdriver or something, but if you have a really nice pristine guitar, make sure you take your time.
Now the cool thing about doing this type of thing as opposed to buying I guess nice guitar with all nice components is you get to choose exactly what tuners, what pickups, what kind of nut you want on it, all that stuff. The aesthetics, you get to choose what kind of color pickguard you want.
That's right, and one of the important things to mention actually is because just because something, when you upgrade stuff, you actually have almost more options. So for example, we're using these tuners that are called ratio tuners. So ratio tuners, I think I'm right about this, but basically what they do is every half turn is a half step, I believe. So what happens is they're perfect ratio the whole way when you tune rather than it just, exactly. So as well as locking. So these are something that not everybody might want, or you might want to go for something like this.
Like locking tuner is the biggest thing for me just because string changing time, it cuts it way down for me. So, okay, let's get the new ones on. So we got the plate there, the two little notches in the tuner go on the plate, and then just it's a little template for the screw hole that's already there, which is fantastic. Hopefully it fits in. It's a little bit off. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna do the plates first.
It's important that we thank Randy. He did a lot of the actual grunt work for what we're doing right now. So he chose all the parts that we were gonna get, and he also was the one who wired up the pickguard, which we already mentioned. So
my Telecaster that's sitting right over there, I brought it today because it's a California Series Tele, which was about $600 or $700 new when I bought it, and that was the late 90s, early 2000s. And like basically I've done all the same stuff on to that guitar as we're doing today. Like new saddles, new tuners, new pickups, new nut, all that stuff. So that's like, this is gonna be a $700, $800 guitar when we're done with it. That's like a $1,000 or $1,200 guitar.
Okay.
When we're done with it, so. Just to see, like, and my Strat, which we saw earlier, is all stock, all original. I didn't do anything to it. So that's another really good kind of apples to apples kind of comparison.
I think there's positives and benefits and negatives kind of for both, right? Pros and cons. I think that you definitely are gonna get more for your money doing something like this, right? Like we're comparing this, which is gonna be all in $670 or so worth of stuff, and comparing it to a $1,200 guitar. So it's gonna be interesting to see when we're done.
Come on. There you go.
Tuners are on.
Step one done.
String
Awesome,
trees.
look at you. If you're gonna get a Graphtec nut that doesn't bind, then you don't want your strings binding somewhere else and kind of negating the whole point of you putting a new Graphtec nut on.
That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, those feel really solid and good to go.
Okay, so now onto the nut.
Yep.
Which I believe is over there.
And this should be a straight nut slot and not a radius like the fretboard. And that's perfect because of this, this nut. If you don't know, this little tab on Graphtec nuts is for that exact reason. Because the bottom of the nut is curved like this, but the little tab makes it to where you can use it on a flat cut nut slot. So.
Right.
All right, so we've got the old nut out. It's really dirty. So it's indeed, you're gonna wanna check, it is indeed flat on the bottom. So you're gonna check that. Because I think, like my Tele, which is like equivalent of a Mexican or a US Tele, had a radiused.
Okay. Well,
So I had to sand the bottom nub of the tusk nut off.
Okay.
But this one should be able to just pop right in.
Nice.
It's a little bit wide, which I think they do on purpose, like consistently.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna take a little bit of it off with just some sandpaper on a flat surface. It's getting close. Oh, it is good. That's it. It's done. So Randy's gonna come over here and roll the edges. If you don't know what that's talking about, it's just taking the sharp edge off of a lot of more inexpensive guitars to make it more comfortable when you play. So this is completely like optional if you want to do this or not. It just makes the guitar a little more comfortable to play, makes it a little more sleek feeling, right? Yeah.
So we're gonna roll the edges, which is just taking the hard edge off the edges of the fretboard. It gives it a more played-in feel, and it also helps round over all the fret ends here.
Cool.
So all I'm gonna take the sanding block. I think this is like a 220 grit equivalent, and I'm just gonna run it up and down the frets with big long strokes, and it's gonna slowly wear away here. So I'm probably just this.
And like if this is your guitar, you might want to tape off the rest of your guitar, but we're not doing that today just because.
I've done this a lot of times, so I'm not gonna get the guitar at all. But
Yeah, I'd probably hit it.
so right there, I've got a bit of sand showing here. So you got the rosewood starting to get even, and all the edges of frets are getting hit as I do this. So if I take this away, if I feel this side, this is very hard, whereas this side's a bit smoother if you want.
Anyway, we're gonna clean it a little bit first with just some Scotch-Brite because like he noticed some rust on the frets in some spots, and then just basically really cleaning it and just giving it a really smooth feel before we put some lemon oil on the fretboard. Sweet,
right.
That'll do it. All right, got it wiped off. Now I'm just gonna put some, what is this? Gobi Labs orange powered fretboard conditioner on it just to kind of complete the nice look. Actually, need some more. Why not go all the way?
Usually it's okay to be pretty liberal with that, and then you just kind of wipe it off,
Yeah.
right? Now, as far as fretboard conditioners and oils and stuff like that go, You
It
only
smells
really,
nice.
It does. It smells awesome. You don't want to do this to a maple fretboard. So maple fretboards you wouldn't condition, but rosewood, I think ebony is the same. A lot of those types of like more porous open woods, you want to do something like this every once in a while.
Normally I let that soak in
Okay.
a little bit more, but I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe the excess off just so we can keep the party going, as Pickles says.
I don't know what reference that was.
Metalocalypse. Cool.
Okay, so the next thing, I guess if we're working this way, I should probably just do the pickguard next.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? So let me grab, do you have that smaller screwdriver?
I'll do you.
Thank you.
This out of your way.
As I stab you in the forearm.
Here, you wanna...
Yeah, we can scooch it down. Thank you.
And this is nice because this is, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this is really dirty. So not having to clean that and worry about that, just put new stuff on, it's fine.
You might not have a new pickguard if you're swapping this stuff out, so it will be a little bit more work to remount all your new parts on another pickguard, but for the sake of time, we've got it on another pickguard, which makes it a lot easier.
You don't want to sit here and watch me figure out wiring diagrams and solder, butcher soldering, so.
All right.
Okay, so we're just gonna...
All right, so now we got the pickguard up, we have a ground wire, and then this goes to the output jack. A lot of people call this an input jack. It's an output jack. So I'm just gonna clip those off here. That one about...
So when you're soldering, it's always good to start with a fresh end if you can.
If you can. This one I'm gonna go right close up. That. All right, we're free.
See ya.
All right, so we're just gonna give it a wipe out. This thing is filthy inside. Okay, I think we're ready to get this thing wired up, I believe. So we have a soldering iron. Nate, do you want to do the honors, or should we have Randy come in and do it for us?
I think we should get Randy. You should give Randy your lab and let him come do it. Since he's like done it this far, let him do the rest.
Might as well have him do the rest. All right.
So we're gonna wire the new pickguard in. First I wanna show just how different these are. So this is the original pickup set. You go like this? Yeah, you hold this. So these are ceramic, they're basically bar fridge magnets, or little bar magnets for fridges that you just stick on there, and they're just glued to the back of the pickup.
It's also a weapon.
It's also a weapon. You can stab someone pretty good with that. Look at how nice these ones are.
And the circuit board switcher.
Circuit board switcher rather than a nice mechanical one, and it's got these tiny little, they're called pots, which is what the spinny bits go into. And these ones are really nice. These ones are not very nice.
Cool. So away with that.
All right, so I'm gonna wire up the ground and the input output. So with this wire, the way a input jack works is the tip, I don't know if we have a guitar cable here, but the tip of the guitar cable goes in and it touches the end of it, and that's the red wire, and the ground, which is the sleeve, is usually a bare wire. So I conveniently did this one.
Ah, look at you.
Red is hot for the tip, black is ground.
Super easy.
And this ground wire is gonna go on this tone pot right here.
Cool.
So first I'm gonna take my wire strippers here, knock off a little bit of the end of this one.
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh, isn't that great? And then, I guess I'll pick my soldering gun here. I'm gonna do these ones first. They're nice and long, lots of room to work with. And separate this out a little bit. So if this is my,
There you go.
give a little twist.
Twisty tie.
And then, yeah, so this is 22 gauge wire, which is like the recommended for doing guitar wiring.
And that's really small.
Even smaller.
Yeah, it's not even half the size.
Like how much money are they saving doing this?
A couple bucks.
So we'll go like this.
Couple cents.
These are tricky. So a lot of people have like additional hand type devices. I actually have a trick for doing this. I hold it like this, and then I snip off the solder. And I do it with my top two fingers.
Ah.
So I can apply it while heating. So like this, let's see if we got enough power going on here. Test it. Yep. Don't breathe in the smoke. Get in the heart. All right, so that's wired in. So what I did is I heated the underside of the wire and I applied the solder to the top side of the wire and it soaked in.
Yeah, it's one thing, a lot, like, at least for me when I started soldering, I would always put the solder on the tip of the gun, which is like, don't do that.
Yeah, it's not a good move. Yeah. I did that at first too, and then I watched a bunch of YouTube videos.
Yep.
And I learned. That's why my guitars didn't sound good.
That's why, yeah, I get a lot of kind of crappy sound, bad connections, cold solder joints, things like that.
I don't have electrical tape. Can I just borrow a little of that Scotch tape?
Yep, it's double-sided, so
it's double-sided.
Nice and gooey.
Nice and gooey. So I would suggest you use electrical tape, but we just want to make sure that these two, because they're so close together, don't touch and short it out.
Yeah.
Another important note, I'm soldering over the finish on my guitar.
Yeah.
If you care about the finish on your guitar, and this one's relic already, so it doesn't matter, but if you care about it, put something underneath so that the hot solder doesn't go down and burn your guitar. I almost touched the soldering iron to the pickguard. That would have been bad.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say your arm.
That would have been less bad because my arm will heal.
Yeah, that's
pickguard will not. So every guitar is a little different, but on this one I'm adding it to the one where the tone pot is. I believe you can add it to multiple points. I don't think it actually matters as long as
as long as it's touching metal. I don't know. I don't know enough about that. I just follow the diagrams, man.
I would love to learn one day what's
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so what we want to do is we want to fire these knobs on here, and then we still have the saddles yet.
Yep.
So let's do the knobs first. For me, the way that I like to line them up is I actually usually put them on max, and then line the 10 up with where I would kind of want the 10 to be.
Should have brought my hammer. Good boy. Oh, perfect. That looks good now.
Okay, so next thing we're gonna do, we are going to take these saddles off of here.
Cool.
See, look at this last little nook. Okay, so the last little thing I think we need to do is we're gonna put a couple little end pits on there. So I will do that really fast. This takes about 2 seconds.
Those are cool. Well, I don't know, maybe not quite a bit more substantial, but we'll see.
So a lot of times the screws get stripped. That's super common. There's a few things you can do. You can get it professionally fixed, but one of the great ways to do it at home is you take toothpicks.
Yep.
And you break them up, you shove them in there,
yeah.
And then you just fire the screw.
I put a tiny bit of epoxy.
That's the best way to do it.
A tiny bit of a toothpick, but like split it down the middle, so I'm only using like a quarter or half of it. I do that. That's one of the first things I do on a new guitar when I get it.
Okay, these are nice and snug. You don't want to over tighten these. I think that's an important thing to note because that's what quite often will start that stripping process. Yeah. Okay, I think it's time to string this bad boy up and give her a setup.
We've got 10s over there. It came with 9s. I'm pretty darn sure from playing it. So we will have to set it up, like you said, as soon as we get the strings on.
Okay, let's do it.
Andrew just said it's not a very substantial back block here that the strings are going through. One thing you might want to do is upgrade the whole bridge component or unit as well. But that's, what is an extra 150 bucks, something like that, Randy?
It's nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Oh! Okay, so we got the guitar strung up. Now, it's time to set it up. Obviously with all the new parts, all the calibration and everything is all gonna be off, so we need to give the neck the correct amount of relief. We've also swapped to 10s. We were on 9s before, and then all of this, the action, all the saddles and stuff need to be adjusted to be put in the right spot. So we're gonna do that now.
Okay, there's just, I don't even know if there's any relief in there, maybe a tiny little bit. I think I could use a little more. If I was setting this up for myself, I would. It's a little bit too straight for digging in. What do you think?
Yeah,
okay.
It looks like it to me.
Just a little bit. Quarter turn.
How are we looking on the?
Maybe bring the E down just a hair. The sitar.
It does sound like one, doesn't it?
And let's see.
I prefer it untuned, personally. Okay, so we're all done. That's it. So we will just want to say a special thank you to Romaine Pickups for supplying these awesome Firecaster pickups that they made for us. And then also a thank you to Graphtech as well for supplying the rest of the stuff for the upgrades for this guitar.
And I guess the biggest question for you guys out there is it worth it? Or which one do you prefer? To buy a cheap guitar and do all the upgrades yourself, or to just go out and buy the guitar that you want? I think it really depends on if you want to fiddle with guitars, if you want to get crafty and handy with these things and see, you know, just what different pickups sound like, what different components, if you want to learn. If not, if you don't want to mess around with all that kind of stuff, like me, now in my older days, I would just go out and buy a new guitar. So.
Yeah, so make sure you let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to our channel here as well. We'll see you guys next time.